paths shift access to the unknown. That's especially true when solo aging. This video is a commentary about the story of paths and how it links to solo aging. And with that solo aging, the importance of walking. Welcome to this sharing some insights about path and its connection to solo aging and walking. I actually decided that I was going to come out and actually be on a path. I've just dropped off a path that's just above me. There's a wonderful stone here that I can set things up so that I can have this conversation with you. So I guess before I start is, where is it somewhere along one of your paths that you walk, or if you haven't found one yet and you did some exploration, what and where and what does it look like? What's your path spot, your rest spot look like? And share it below. That would be great. Now, into the story that I wanted to share with you is that, have you ever wished that each step could find a way to fight back time and discover the wonder and wander of solo walks that strengthen your body, sharpen your mind? How about inviting a friend along to adventure together? Certainly walking different paths. Even if you walk in the same path with a friend, it has a feeling of a different version of that path, and that would be great. Now, the core here that I'm getting and the starting off with is that there's the sense of staying young, the practicality of when you're on the walk, on your path, that something is possible for you. Now, path for me literally is like a narrow path, and you'll see some of those versions a little bit later. Now, they're often created by people or animals, and some are actually upgraded just a little bit so that bicycles can make the trip. So when I think of paths and pathways, I'm not using words like highway and flyway, or the way of the airport, where you're landing, or the spaceway. I'm actually bringing it back into the sense of what it means for you to walk it. Now, a lot of times we'll walk beside a paved road. Sometimes we'll walk a paved pathway, as they're called, or walkway. Sometimes we're on a dirt road, and then there are the paths that are off all of those paved roads and walkways and dirt roads into paths of all different kind. And we'll learn a little bit more about those later. I have an activity for you coming up. But it's the concept here that I want to get across, is that the core element of a path, whether it's winding, whether it's in the woods, for me along the side of a hill, dirt is actually the surface. So when I think of something that's paved, I don't think of it as a pathway. That's why I use walking way. It's more what I call a pathway. So up until this point, even just with this brief introduction, when you think of paths and your way along the paths, then there's something to be said for that metaphorically as well. Because the paths, right, from a metaphoric point of view, is representative of your life journey. And you could document through images your life chronologically, and just find out where things happen. And you could sort of say, okay, this is my first 10 years, the 20 years, 30 years, wherever it might be, and take it from there. So it's about your life journey. That's what path is about, your unique journey that you're taking. It also symbolizes the decisions that we make, the challenges we face, and the direction our lives take. Again, in the activity a little bit later here, I prompt you to think a little bit about that, because along the path, there's lots of things you got to take into consideration, especially when it is a dirt path, because it's very different from a paved path, and that's a little bit like what life is about. And when you're getting into your SoloAging years, then you really got to pay attention to the path that you're on, just like walking it as living it and making the decisions that go with it. So the core element here is that the decisions along the way, I guess in many ways, determine the experience you're going to remember. So of all the paths that I have taken around the world and everything, there are certain places or certain paths that I walk that, ooh, they're there. And I could share stories and stories and stories. There's the twists and turns that go with it, okay? And they sort of represent the challenges and opportunities along my life path. I've had machine guns stuck up my nose in places connected with war, just as I have used there is the notion of waterway. I didn't mention that earlier, but I'll put it in as so creeks and small rivers and now waterways that you can walk beside. And I mention this because I also spent time as a whitewater rafting guide, and there was decisions to be made going down the river, and I was a canoeing guide, and sometimes we had to walk the river, and they're called lining with your canoe. So there was decisions that had to get made along the path that made it safe for me. And think of those twists and turns in your own life along your path. What were they like? So I'm actually hinting with these questions with you is they also make a great memoir, autobiography that you can play with later. So the obstacles that you face, okay, they are sort of the setbacks that you encounter, and from the setbacks you get the set up, right, and stride forward and stay found. And I always like to go back and think about, well, what was a major setback on that path? What did I encounter? And then go, okay, what happened after that? And how did that inform me moving into the next one? So paths are really a great place to test out things and see what's happening. So from a testing out perspective, you'll notice that I'm wavering quite a bit. It's that I'm standing on a slope. This is a rock in front of me, and I have to just keep my balance all the time in terms of being able to share. And you'll notice my hand going forward a little bit is that I have my computer here up on the rock. I got some keywords just to remind me of some phrasing. So this is very much a setup along the path so I can shoot this video. But it presents kind of some very interesting things to me as I am working through it. The path of the journey itself highlights the pleasure of experiences we gain along the way. I think we would all agree with that. The different paths that we walk, the different experiences that we have, the pleasure that's derived from that, the aesthetics, the beauty, might be the conversation with the person who's walking with you. That's possible as well. And then there is this notion of, it's about the experiences that we gain along the way from our unique journey. And when we adventure together with others, then what we do is we get to share the experiences of sharing along the way. And that can be just as wonderful. Now, sometimes we may not be paying quite as much attention to the path as we are to the conversation, and that's okay. You can find that as a really great way to sort of connect on a mental, emotional through the physical activity of walking on the path. But it also allows you to touch the soul and spiritual and the whole versical elements of your life. And that can be really exciting too as you dig into that and sort of see what's going on. Hey, Georgia. My walking companion just came back to me. He was off traveling around the paths where we are. So with that, I just wanted to bring the story of paths to the foreground and make it real if I can for you, because there is the literal sense of paths, but there is the metaphoric. And to be able to bring that together and get you to think about your own paths is really important. Now, there's a few things, the core ideas that I want to share with you. I've mentioned a few of them in terms of some people will use words like, what's the benefits of something other than the features of something? And I want to share those with you. Just to give you a sense of where we are, there's a little ravine that's here. I'm standing up against some rocks. You see the computer, my gloves. You'll notice I'm wearing a little bit thicker jacket today. It's because right now it's about 0 here where I'm standing, and the path is just up there. It's the one that goes down along the side of the hill here. There are a few core ideas I wanted to share with you around walking and what it can do for you. I've sort of mentioned, even highlighted a few of them already. But I just want to be crystal clear about some of them, because in many ways they're what I think about when I'm getting ready to walk, or I'm walking and I'm doing my solo walks, or I'm doing my shared walks. But let me put these core ideas in relationship to a solo walk that you can take. Now, again, the path that you might find yourself on could be around a park in the city. It can be just outside of the city, a wooded area, a reserve, or park associated with the river or a lake, wherever it might be. So think about it from this perspective. There is this sense of when you're walking, and from a solo again, is this presence that comes to you. It fosters what I would call staying present, because walking, you got to be paying attention to where you are, and you got to sort of take in a little bit of everything, but at the same time, it's a chance for you to appreciate what's going on. And even the aging process, you get a chance to appreciate that. The next thing I just mentioned to you is this mental, emotional clarity, is that they'll clear your mind. If there's a time when I need to get away from the desk because of some of the work I'm doing or creating or thinking even about this video, I had a great walk yesterday. I'll be taking another long walk today. But it really gives you an opportunity to clear your mind and in many ways promote well-being at a mental and emotional level. So that's great to make that connection. There's the obvious physical health, and I'm attempting to get so many steps a day minimum, and that's walking Georgia, the dog. Yesterday I did almost triple that. It was great to be able to get that in, and I did some hills at the same time. And this notion of the physical well-being that happens for you. But I guess there's another aspect of that as well, which is getting a true sense of an independence to determine the quality of the experiences you want to welcome into your life. Yeah, solo walking gives that to me. How about you? Independence, emotional, mental well-being, a sense of presence and being present, being safe. That's a few so far. Let me give you a couple of others. The other thing that comes to mind is that this walking helps you to appreciate resilience and relevance. Resilience in the sense that there's almost a metaphor, go down to come back up, is the resilience of when you're challenged, you're facing obstacles, whatever they might be, and having a way in which to deal with, okay, I'm going to go down a little bit, but I'm going to come up the other end. It's about when you go into that down, you don't go into dysfunction. That's an important element of it. That's resilience. And you come out the other side in a better place than when you went in, so to speak. And the relevance is that what it is that you're doing, what you're thinking about, the place of the walk on the path that day, there's some relevance to it. Maybe you set an intention of distance, or you set an intention to do something that's nature awareness component, or again, if you're sharing it, maybe there's a conversation that you want to have along the way. So it brings forth this notion of resilience and relevance, and that leads very much into nature healing. Like for me, where I'm standing right now is I'm just catching the essence of the sun just popping over the sort of the edge of the hill here, and I can just start to pick up on it in my eyesight, and I'll smile. It's great to be able to have that. But there's this walking, and the path is about nature healing. You can go so far as to do what might be called forest bathing. I always think of nature and forests and trees as sort of a self-care companion. They're also living systems educators. So there's lots of other ways in which to benefit from your walk. But I guess the most profound one for me, and I would think you'd probably agree, personal reflection. It's a time to go, this is what's going on in my life. And then maybe stopping and pulling out your camera, taking a picture of what you see to remember later. Turn on the video. Oh, there we go. Video's on. I can record a thought, record a feeling. So there's this notion of the personal reflection. And the last thing I want to just mention to you is that I've been hinting at this notion of an environmental ecology connection, nature connection. And that becomes important because I believe as we're moving through this aging and our longevity, the more we can get close to nature and be with nature and become aware of what nature is offering, that connection strengthens not only ourselves, but strengthens our ideas about connections with the whole, being in relationship to all. And I'm going to suggest that is really important. And the more that you can make that connection, the better it is, not only for yourself, but also your friends and the community as a whole. So it's really about these walks allow you to understand what it means to be for the world, with the planet, from the whole. What follows now is an activity that I created, and it's taking video shots and putting them together in sort of a sequence with some commentary about walking a path, and both literally and metaphorically. And I have put it together so that you can watch it and then maybe come back and rewatch it and stop and think, and if you've got a journal, whatever it might be, and start to pull in a lot of what I've been sharing already, so that you have a sense of deepening and enriching your understanding of paths and walking and aging and solo aging, so that what you can get to is maybe a place like solo aging confidently, right? The confidence, not only to do the walk, the confidence in pulling the metaphors, the confidence in this reflection and strengthening who you are. And if you're doing it with companions, the relationship of being with them, but also the relationship with everything else, all the different relationships, inorganic and organic. So uh, have a watch through. You can watch it all the way through, come back, or you might have a pen and paper or whatever, or your tablet nearby, and you might watch a little bit, but stop, write down some notes. I'll leave it to you, whatever way you want to do it, and that's what follows. And then after that, I'm going to just share with you a couple of ways that I use PATH. There's a book that I have, Pathway for Mentoring Now. I'll just share a little bit why I chose PATH. And then there's the notion of the path of wealth movement. The name of my company is Wealth Movement, and I put path in front of it. And why is that? I have a diagram I'd like to share with you, but I'm going to do that back in the office so that I can set it up and use my computer to my advantage. And then there's a couple of books I want to recommend to you, and take a look at the statistics. Remember, the Sunday is, or if you didn't know, Sunday is a time that I share with you how am I doing with my YouTube channel, Wealth Learning TV, just to keep you up to date from a legacy point of view, so you get an understanding of what's happening. So that's what will follow next, and let's see where that takes us. So I'm going to stop now, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk up and just take some shots of the path that's right above me, and then I'll put them in. It might end up being 30, 45 seconds or something like that when we get up to the top here. Alrighty. So this is where I was standing. That's the rock, just up and away from it. And as we sort of come off this little side path here, we end up moving on to the main path. So you can see it. That's where I was. This is the path. And then that twists around and goes up a little ravine. Years ago, this ravine must have been used for something else. And I know that to be true because an old car got dumped over the edge. My walking companion doesn't always walk the path. Has to find some other places to go. Here's the path, just a little bit more. And there goes Georgia. Here are a couple of examples of where I'm using the concepts and practices of path within the business. And the first one is what I call the path of wealth movement. So the name of my company is Wealth Movement. And wealth is sort of a starting point of well-being and well-living to the nth degree. Movement is the extension out from a physical sense of movement all the way up to social cultural movement, where groups of persons get together to work on some kind of issue that may be local all the way up to around the planet. And in the path of wealth movement, I have what I call my 5 magnificent words. And these are the words that help me understand what it is I'm presenting. And it keeps me forefront. It's sort of like my hand. I can put the 5 words on my hand. So if I'm chatting with someone, I have a way in which to remember what I'm chatting about, and I can bring it forward so I can help persons understand how I'm being for the world with the planet from the whole, and thus how I might be able to encourage them to do something that's similar, but they may have 5 of their own words. And the ones that I have are legacy, experience, safety, educating, and nature. And when you get involved with wealth movement, you will see these words popping up in different variations and for different reasons. And I will come back on one of these Sunday presentations, videos, and just share more about the path of wealth movement. But that's one example. Another way that I've used the terms and concepts and practices of path is with a book entitled Pathway for Mentoring Now, Mentor Within, Mentoring Without. And the pathway is really an expression of what I learned after 40 some years of facilitative mentoring. And I collected it as a book so I could share some process ideas with the reader to give them a bit more context about what is mentoring, mentorship, mentor, mentee, so that the book would serve as a resource as they're moving forward in the development of their own practice. Earlier in the video, I mentioned an activity that I had created based on my walks and cutting together some different looks at path with some commentary. And that's what's going to follow now. It's an interactive activity. So if you don't have a pen and paper around at this point in time, then you may want to pause and go grab that or grab your tablet, however it is that you keep notes, and just be ready to think and feel through some suggestions that I'm making about path. Have you ever felt like life is a path winding and ever shifting, leading you to unknown places? Each bend revealing a new vista, each step a sentence in your journal. What if I told you there's a muse within you, a guiding light to illuminate the path? Over the next 3+ minutes, engage in a metaphoric exploration, a chance to tap into that inner wisdom and rediscover the magic in every video frame. You'll be following a path I walk every other day, and I'll be providing commentary, using the beauty of nature to spark encouragement and guide you on a journey of self-discovery. The symbolism of the path, its twists and turns, its ups and downs, mirroring the decisions we make, the challenges we overcome, and the grace we discover along the way. So lace up your metaphoric walking boots, grab your metaphoric water bottle, because introspection can be thirsty work. Watch and return to stop at moments to explore themes of purpose, direction, and the whispers of our own intuition. Along the way, you'll encounter metaphors hidden in the landscape, each one a pathstone for living a legacy life. Are you ready? Let's begin. And with some roads, there are bridges to cross, and beside them, other paths that take you into the world of decision making, of which way do I go? Which way do I go? Some old roads have turned into paths, nature retaking, reclaiming that which was. And then there are the waterways that you can walk to see where it might take you. Tends to be downstream though. And along the way there are rest areas where you can come and sit down. Off some paths are other paths that our kin walk. Up they go, and down they come from. Along the path, could be like a dirt road path, you sometimes encounter moving to another level through the use of a bridge, or in this case, a set of stairs. Sometimes paths wind along the side of a hill, and up you go or down you come from. And as you move over, you start to see the possibility of other paths. So this would be a junction. And this one winds up through the little ravine, I'll call it a ravine, up to the top. And then there's another path that's along here. And that's the way we're going, so we can go to the top of that hill. So once you go up, often you've got to come down right away, or sometimes you stay on a plateau and enjoy what's up there. But when you come down the other side, it looks a little different, doesn't it? Trees. Where the other side looks a little bit more like a prairie. Shift, adjustment. Gotta love it. Curious, do you have a snippet, a story, and or a synergy to share in the comments because of the video or from another experience possibly? I ask you to share so we can learn to know together, because there is the unique journey that each of us is on, but there's also the adventure together. And by sharing our snippets and stories and synergies, we can gain more insight into living this extraordinary legacy life. So please add. I'm actually going to write one, something that I had in the back of my mind when I was walking, and I'm going to bring it to the foreground and share it with you. There's two books I want to recommend that you bring into your library. The first one is Wanderlust. It's Rebecca Solnit's book about a history of walking. I so enjoyed this book. It's dog-eared, and I took my pencil and I wrote notes in the margins, and I just gobbled it up, to put it in a really wonderful way. And it sort of takes a look at walking different kinds of paths in living our lives in different social cultural settings and in different kind of nature settings. It's just a wonderful way to just get a sense of what walking and paths are about. Now, it doesn't directly go into solo aging. That's a connection I'm hoping you're making through this video, but the book I would certainly encourage you to go grab. The second book I would recommend to you is from Julia Cameron. She's an author who wrote The Artist's Way. I read it many years ago, and I wove many of her concepts and practices into my creative process, into my writing approach. And she's just published a new book, Living the Artist's Way, I think Pathway here, and it's available on Amazon, and it covers many different sort of genres of insights and suggestions. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't read it myself. Knowing the author, I know it will be of great use to you. And I like the second part of her title. It's an intuitive path to greater creativity. And I think that that's a wonderful way to add to our own sense of path, the intuitiveness that we have available to us, and being able to apply it in living our extraordinary legacy lives. As we move towards closing off this video, there's a couple of other updates I wanted to give you, and also to make an ask. And the first one is, like the legacy projects I'm creating, Wealth Movement and its YouTube channel, Wealth Learning TV, are part of the story I want to share with you so that you might understand sort of the ins and outs of creating a legacy project, maybe like I have done, or something that would be similar. But just to give you a heads up of what might transpire. And this is my third week of helping you understand some of the base statistics. And I can't say that I'm happy about any of it in one sense. I didn't get any subscribers in the last week. My hours viewed are down from last week dramatically, but I did add 11 videos to the channel. So there's something in there that I've got to work on to figure out how to unblock, unlock, whatever it might be, what's happening. But that's why I'm sharing it with you, is because it's not always going to work. And I'll find out how things go. I keep doing research during the week, testing out new ideas, some of them even in this video in terms of seeing what's happening. And so, with my thank you for joining me on this shared path, the ask I have of you is if you have thoughts on the video about the style, the content, or you have some new topics you want to suggest, put them in the comments section. I would so enjoy reading them because it would help me to better the video, the series, because I want the Sunday series to be interactive and get your thoughts going so that you share them with me. Because there's something I often say in the videos is we educate what we love to learn, and interaction, even through the video and the comments, is a great way to be able to do that. And so enjoy the paths you're walking, your solo aging, and your involvement with wealth movement, because with that involvement, we plant forests. Take care.